the Great British Manufacturing Podcast, brought to you by MTD, MFG and Jefferson.
Hello and welcome to the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. What a week in the world of UK manufacturing it has been, and we cannot wait to share some of these positive stories from the world of UK manufacturing. Coming up in this week's show, we will be discussing news from the likes of JCB, Molson Coors, and yes, that $1 billion investment from Nissan. We'll also be welcoming a special guest, Willian Santos, International Sales Manager at Barnsley-based ABI Electronics. But first, we got two new members we'd like to introduce to you on the Factory Now platform. New members are joining the Factory Now platform every week, which has been launched to help British manufacturers boost sales, collaborate and reshore. New members this week include Warwickshire-based SICK Marking, a supplier of marking and automation identification solutions for tracing industrial components, and also Visual Components, a world-leading supplier of 3D manufacturing simulation software. Please contact us to discuss joining the platform. My name is Joe Reynolds, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Stuart Whitehead. We're going to get straight on with the show, and there's only one place to start. Nissan Gigafactory. Stuart, tell us some more.
Yeah, incredible news, Joe. And Nissan has announced a major expansion of electric vehicle production at its car plant in Sunderland, which will create 1,650 direct jobs. Japanese car maker says it will build its new generation all-electric model in the northeast also, with its partner Envision building a new gigafactory. The new electric vehicle hub, launched with £1 billion worth of investment, will also support thousands of jobs in the UK supply chain. And of that £1 billion, Nissan said it would invest up to £423 million to produce the new model, building on the success of its existing electric car, the Leaf.
It's, we could talk about this all day, Stuart, couldn't we? Obviously, this news, it's not news to anyone in the know. This has been rumoured for a number of weeks now, but sometimes you do wonder, is it going to happen? Are the government going to help? Are we going to able to get this done, get this deal done? And it looks like it's been done. It's official.
Absolutely. We reported a few weeks ago that the UK government is in consultation or in advanced talks with maybe 5 or 6 manufacturers, and this is the first one that's been announced. We've obviously had British Volt on in a previous podcast, and hopefully that's going to happen in Northumberland as well. So I think this is absolutely key. The first one has been announced. It's official. It's going to happen. We know that we need more than one across the UK. So hopefully this is the first of many.
More good news. JCB, they've been on a recruitment drive all this year pretty much, and it hasn't stopped yet.
Absolutely. It started a fresh recruitment drive for 500 new agency workers. This demand for its machinery continues to soar. The British manufacturer is taking on additional agency employees at 11 plants across Staffordshire, Derbyshire and Wrexham, and is also offering, which is really good, 300 existing agency workers permanent JCB contracts, a great job security for them. And these new jobs, as you allude to, are on top of the 850 shop floor jobs already created so far this year, and will bring the total number of agency shop floor employees given permanent jobs this year to over 1,000. And this move follows record demand for JCB's machinery across the world, with most new machines already sold out until next year.
Yeah, it just a massive success story, JCB. It certainly this last 18 months, in the middle of a pandemic, let's face it, they're doing a fantastic job here. Next one, Molson Coors, they've announced £25 million investment at its brewery.
Absolutely. More inward investment at Chicago headquarter manufacturers investing $25 million at the brewery. That includes upgrades to its beer and cider packaging facilities and a new hard seltzer canning line. The investment in the new production line follows its success of the category in the US, which saw retail sales of nearly $3 billion in the 12 months to June, and means the firm is ready to meet the expected growth in demand for hard seltzers in the UK and Western Europe. And this investment just comes after Molson Coors launched a £5 million multimedia marketing campaign earlier last month now, to support the launch of Threefold, the biggest brand investment the company's ever made into a new category. So they are taking it seriously, and the UK manufacturing sector is benefiting from it.
Yeah, more investment here, like you say, in UK manufacturing. Can't be bad. We'll now take a break from this week's news, and there's plenty more come up later in the show. But for now, let's introduce this week's guest, Willian Santos, International Sales Manager for ABI Electronics. Willian, very warm welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Joe. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're more than welcome. And before we start, thanks for everything you do for our channel and promoting us and UK manufacturing as a whole. We all appreciate it. But if we can just start a bit about you, your career to date, your roles and your responsibilities at ABI.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Well, I'm the head of sales and marketing here at ABI Electronics in Barnsley. I started my career when I was 19, 20 years ago in my native Brazil, where I, come from originally. And I started as an apprentice. I was doing my H&D in electronics. Then I was given the opportunity to join this hand tools manufacturing company. It was an American multinational company. And they also produce some electronic equipment for reworking and soldering stations and so on. And after a couple of years, I joined one of their distributors in São Paulo. And that company actually happened to be one of ABI's distributors. And after spending 5 years as being the sales manager in that organization, I met the ABI managing director, who invited me to come over to sunny Barnsley. And here I am. I've been living in Yorkshire since. Got a family and a 6 years old son as well. And so I've been with the company for the last 14 years, and I head up the sales, the marketing, social media teams as well. And being very, very busy. We just finished our financial year last night, so FY21 is behind us, and it was a fantastic year. And as you guys can see, on our Twitter timeline and LinkedIn as well. And we're very happy with the results. I don't have the final figure, but we're talking about probably around 23% growth, which is good. We're very happy.
Yeah, sounds like it. Well, a fascinating story. And just secondly, many people will know of ABI Electronics, but maybe you can start with the basics, who you are, maybe the size of your company, your product range, and just some of your history.
Absolutely. ABI started in 1983, and we are a family-run business, and the engineer that started the company, he first developed the world's first low-cost chip tester. We're going to potentially touch on the chip shortage situation, later on. But so he basically developed a system that could test chips, could test electronic components, which were fairly expensive at the time. And the product became a massive success here in the UK and abroad, and the company evolved from there. So, moving forward to fast forwarding to 2021, our product range is basically divided between systems that are used in the fault analysis, fault finding, troubleshooting, industrial electronic circuit boards, and reverse engineering systems as well. We have products for counterfeit IC detection. So we have a range of solutions that are used by companies all over the world. We are a cross-sector company, so we cover over 20 different sectors of the industry, from manufacturing through to aerospace and renewable energy and so on, defense, rail transport, and so on.
Morning, Willian. Thanks for joining us. Almost on a daily basis, you're talking about export wins. It's fantastic to follow you on Twitter and LinkedIn to hear about your successes. Would you mind just explaining your export strategy? You're obviously doing something right that possibly and potentially other SMEs could learn from.
That's a very good question, Stuart. Thanks for that. Well, when I joined the company, my mission was basically to start our Brexit. Okay, so and what I mean by that is moving on from depending on just a handful, countries, number of markets, and really expanding and taking the company globally. And that's what we did. Starting in 2007, we started finding, partners in other countries in key targeted sectors. So obviously coming from Latin America, my initial focus was developing partnerships in Colombia, in Mexico, in Peru, and obviously strengthening our position in Brazil. And that was a great success. And then we went to Asia. So Korea, Japan, Malaysia, and Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia. That worked really well, and we then went to the US and so on. So that's what we've been doing. So we've been adding countries and really developing partnerships with technical organizations that can represent us. They can, develop the market. They can provide training, demonstration, and technical support in country for our customers. And that was a great success. So the vast majority of our business comes from our distributors, comes through the relationship that we have. We work hand in hand with them, sharing best practices and so on. So I think that is a good proportion, let's say a good the reason why we've been so successful internationally. We started early, let's say, nearly 15 years ago. But the other thing is obviously the use of social media, is how we use social media to communicate with the market. I was reading a report from a leading marketing organization here in the UK. And throughout the pandemic, I think most, they basically claim that UK manufacturers reduced their marketing budget by over 50% on average throughout the pandemic. We did exactly the opposite. We invested more and more in marketing, in advertising, in creating content for social media. Okay, so we worked as a team here to produce something that we call ABI Labs, which is a video series available on YouTube. It's about 30 videos produced in-house, with, a couple of our engineers, young engineers, fresh, looking fresh in front of the camera and demonstrating the ins and outs of our systems and the value that our technology adds to companies all over the world. That was a great success. And the constant communication with our customers through social media, I think that would be a part B of my answer. Long answer. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. No, it's a fascinating answer, and I think it's a good insight in terms of what's worked for you and what potentially could work for others. In terms of external support, in your opinion, how much support is there, both regionally or nationally, from local agencies, government agencies, and so on and so forth?
Well, for us, it is crucial to have the ability to tell our customers in India, for instance, that they're going to have local support. It is, the business wouldn't exist if we didn't have a partner there that would not only be able to support the customer, specifying the right equipment, the right configuration for their application, but also, holding their hand throughout the implementation of our systems and, obviously supporting them with training as well. A lot of our business is actually based on repeat business. So about, 30 to 40% a year is basically companies reinvesting in our systems. And they do because they love our support, and the support is provided by, ABI as well as our partners globally. So that support is crucial, really. And obviously, as I mentioned before, most of our orders come through the work that they do. And even when we are asked whether we would supply direct to the organization, it could be in Europe, could be in America, we always try to channel that sale through the distributor.
Makes perfect sense. So if a manufacturer has neither exported beyond the EU, looking to go into the Far East or South America, as you've successfully done over the years, what kind of advice would you give them in terms of building local relationships or local or government agencies, perhaps, that they could partner with? Is there any hints and tips that you can share?
Well, the first, I think the golden rule is you need to have a long-term strategy, right? So you can't simply go to a place like Brazil and expect to start creating revenue in 3-6 months' time. It takes time to build a brand, build a reputation. And in most countries, what we've realized is that if the customers are not completely satisfied by and if they don't feel safe in the knowledge that you're going to be there to help them and support them in the long term, they're not going to buy your product. So I think having that long-term strategy, then eventually building relationships with local companies, local organizations that know the market, they know the legislation, they can handle customs, they can, obviously provide all the support as well, logistic support and so on. If something goes wrong, our products, hardly ever go wrong. But if something goes wrong, some of our customers are, Lego Mexico. So they expect, obviously, to be capable of having that problem resolved in a matter of hours, not days or weeks. So you really need to have we need to have a network of agents and people on the ground supporting the growth of that brand, the growth of the business. And, I would definitely recommend people to, go check out the Department for International Trade, DIT. We've been having years of successful relationship with DIT, where they have the in-country teams supporting, opening doors for ABI and for other British business. Obviously, that's their mission.
Sound advice. Thanks very much for that, William. Final question for me. You quite often reference the repair not waste movement on your social media posts. So for people less familiar with it, what is it, the background, and what are the aspirations of that movement?
Well, the Repair Don't Waste movement was started by ABI in 2015. Okay, and it basically our goal there was to open the eyes of organizations big and small to the benefits of extending the life of their critical electronic systems. Okay, instead of simply throwing a printed circuit board away just because a very tiny and very inexpensive part in that circuit board has gone faulty, either because of age or use or something wrong happened. So the gains in terms of the financial gains are huge. Repairing an electronic circuit board in general, you're talking about slashing the costs by 90%. Emissions are slashed by 85%. So when you compare sourcing a brand new circuit board compared to repairing it in-house. So we really started, championing this cause and really trying to create awareness to the benefits of developing skills, in-house skills for testing, for troubleshooting the electronic circuit boards found in the manufacturing line, for instance. So across, robotic systems and logistic systems and all sorts of different machineries, you can have, obviously electronics drives everything these days. From textile machinery all the way to obviously avionics and radar communication systems. Now, those electronic circuit boards, they were designed to last many years. They may eventually break down after 2-3 years, but you don't throw away a car just because there's been a fault that can be corrected. So the same thing applies to electronic circuit board. So it's been a great, nice, journey. We've had, tremendous success. I think the message has really being well accepted by big organizations. So over the last few years, we had, I mentioned Lego, Samsung, and G Renewable, Lockheed Martin, Honeywell, so many, companies, blue chip companies joining the club, let's say, and really investing in our systems and saying, right, enough is enough. We're not going to be throwing away electronic circuit boards anymore. We're going to be trying to, as much as possible, to keep them going for as long as possible.
Fantastic. And the more that you can do, the better, really. Absolutely. Just moving on from that, you've talked about semiconductors, circuit boards. What do you know about the shortage at the moment, the global supply chain issues with semiconductors? Is that something that's likely to be resolved anytime soon?
Well, that's a very interesting question, Joe, because, the research that we have been looking into seems to point to at least 18 months before the crisis is resolved. And obviously, we require semiconductors to make our products. Our products are electronic test systems. So obviously, we need components, and these components come from all over the world. And over the last probably 6 months, it's been an interesting task, especially for our buyers, to get all those components in. And what we're hearing is the lead time being quoted by some of our suppliers has gone from 3 weeks to 14 weeks sometimes, and in some cases we're talking 12 months down the line before we can actually get more parts. Now, here at ABI, we were preparing for Brexit, since 2017. We invested a lot in stock, so we still have a lot of components. And then obviously last year we managed to, reinforce our bases and strengthen our position as far as inventory is concerned. But we're seeing a lot of organizations basically realizing now that they can't get those parts to make cars and make electronic components, or make industrial machinery as well, and that's something that we are facing ourselves. Obviously, there's a reason for that. We could see throughout the pandemic, company or people actually, spending a lot more time at home, so investing in new laptops and mobile phones and gadgets and connected gadgets, and that basically increased the demand for those type of components. Now, those type of components are not the same to the ones that you would find in a car, you would find in an airplane, or find in a industrial machinery. The industry had to shift the production to cater for that demand for consumer electronics, and now, or ever since the rest of the manufacturing industry has come back online, we are actually struggling to get our parts because of that shift, in direction. So it's going to take probably, at least 12 months, I think 12 to 18 months for the market to find that balance, which I think is even more reason for companies to start repairing more, start investing in testing and trying to resolve the issues in repairing. Mm-hmm. So you have a circuit board sometimes used in a production, plant equipment. You have over 500 components in that board, just because the pound worth or penny worth parts is gone faulty, and you don't know. You're throwing away 500 components, in one go. That a lot of obviously natural resources go into making every printed circuit board. So I think by investing in testing, developing, a better obsolescence management, more modern obsolescence management policy, I think it is fundamental in this day and age.
I couldn't agree more with everything you've just said, but we're going through what we call the gigafactory, gigaplant revolution at the moment. Clearly, car batteries are very, very high value. That's why we're seeing it, and obviously the legislation changes, things like that. But do you see a time where we're going to see semiconductor factories popping up everywhere, maybe here in the UK, certainly more across Europe as well? I'm trying to find a car. You can't get cars at the moment. And you can't sell a £30,000, £40,000 car because of a £2 semiconductor. Doesn't seem right, does it?
You're absolutely right, and I really hope that this is what happens. I think the government should really get behind this idea, Joe. The same way that we're seeing, obviously, gigafactories being planned and coming online in the next few years. We need a semiconductor supply chain more local to us, being developed and being available more local to us. It takes years to build a semiconductor plant. It takes 2 to 3 years for one of those facilities to come online, and especially because everything now requires electronic components, require chips. So if you don't have chips, you don't have cars, you don't have machinery, you don't create value, you don't create wealth. So, and I think as from a strategic, point of view, I think it makes complete sense that governments and obviously there's a supply chain developed on these shores.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you've just said. We do need to reshore, put something here in the UK. But if we move on, just the final one for me, your use of social media, it's very good. We see a lot of you on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn in particular. What's your strategy, your content and advice for other SMEs? It's, we're a marketing company. It's quite straightforward for us, but many SMEs, aren't as good as you.
No, thanks. I appreciate the compliment, Joe. I think SMEs, well, manufacturers in general, but especially SMEs. Well, companies need to fix their relationship with social media. They need to understand that there's no such thing as traditional marketing and social media or online marketing strategy anymore. Both things are combined. So you need to obviously have develop the ability, and in-house, I think it's important to have people who understand the business, and those people actually providing the data for the content creators to obviously expand on that message, expand on that experience. The thing about our social media is that, I create the content, and obviously I've got over 20 years of experience in being around the block for a long time, along with, some of my colleagues in the UK and abroad, who obviously feed all the information to me. And something that we do as well, we use every case. We just got a fantastic order from Samsung in South Korea. So who would have thought that a Barnsley manufacturing company could sell electronics to Samsung? But that's what we've been doing, for a number of years there now. So obviously we want to shout out about that. We want to and encourage other companies to go and try and do the same. So I think basically developing the in-house, group or talents that can provide that content, and utilizing that content to engage with your audience, I think is very, very important.
Yeah, fantastic insight, William. You've been a fantastic guest. Really appreciate you coming on the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. Please keep up your good work on social media for UK manufacturing. We really all do appreciate it. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, Joe and Stuart, for having me on. I wish you, the best of success with the podcast. I've been listening to it every Thursday afternoon on my way home. So, and I would definitely recommend all the SMEs, people working in the manufacturing industry, to follow the podcast, and it's a great show.
Sure, I have to say, one of our best guests. Such an insight.
If anybody is not following ABI Electronics on Twitter, urge you to do so at ABI_Electronics. Positive news nearly every day, showing their export success, and certainly well received by the manufacturing community every time they post.
And if anyone wants to be like Willian and join us on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us. It's podcast@mtdmfg.com. We'd love to have you on. Big, medium, small company, we'd love to have you on either way. Also, please download the MTD MFG News app. It's exclusive podcast content on there, and a good place to find all the latest positive manufacturing news. You can find that whether you're iPhone or Android in your usual app store. So let's get back onto the news, and it's a good one to start with, Stuart. The first Derby-built Cairo monorail train has been exported to Egypt.
Absolutely, huge project. So Alstom's Derby facility, this is previously owned by Bombardier, as you know, has celebrated a major milestone in the Cairo monorail project. The first Innovia 300 monorail for the project has been completed on time at the manufacturer's Litchurch Lane site and is now bound for Cairo. In August 2019, just a bit of a background on this, an Alstom-led consortium also involving Orascom and Arab contractors signed a $2.7 billion contract to design, construct, operate and maintain the two lines. The export of the trains from Derby, the UK's largest train building factory, is the first UK rolling stock export since 2008, and the project will support hundreds of direct jobs and also across the supply chain.
Yep, similarly with ABI, we just spoke about at length, export stories are one of our favourites on the show, aren't they?
Absolutely, and always really well received. And there's been absolute spate of them in recent months, and hopefully that trend will continue.
The next story I'd like to cover, London electric vehicle company, LEVC as you'd know them, they've unveiled the world's first electric campervan. I must say, it looks really nice.
It certainly does, and it's hard to describe on a podcast. Not too much information at the moment, but as you say, the Coventry-based firm has revealed the first images of the new leisure vehicle, the e-camper, the world's first camper van, as you say. And this is a bit of marketing speak, optimized to offer both zero emission capability with zero range anxiety. I quite like that strap line. Based on the VN5, LEVC's new electric van, e-camper has the same pure EV range of over 60 miles with a total flexible range of just over 300 miles.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, isn't it? You think some of these places, these campers goes, you're in the middle of a forest or you're in beautiful Devon. It does make sense to do it in an electric vehicle if you can, doesn't it? Next one, Hyster-Yale have opened up a new £5 million facility in Craigavon.
Yeah, the American-owned forklift manufacturer is creating dozens of jobs in County Armagh following a £5 million expansion of its plant. Headquartered in Ohio, the company already employs hundreds of people at the 40-acre site and announced the new jobs when it officially unveiled the new 60,000 square foot facility. Quite like this as well. The factory extension will be known as the Sands Building in honour of Harry Sands, the former senior VP and managing director of the company, who retired last year after 40 years with the company. So a great send-off, better than a clock.
Yeah, better than a clock or a watch, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's nice sentiment, isn't it, for such a large company to do something like that? Very nice. It's a nice touch. The last story of this week, there are lots more on the website, mtdmfg.com. Please do go and have a look. As I say, there's lots more news available on the website. We do not get time to cover it all in the podcast, unfortunately. But we're going to finish with a good friend of the show, Venari Group. What have you got to say about them, Stuart? We heard about this a few weeks ago, but it's great to be able to finally tell people.
Absolutely. Well, Oliver North, the CEO of Venari, did allude to this when he was on a previous podcast, but now the Brickhouse-based company and Ford have today announced that they have signed a memorandum of understanding for a new alliance to take cooperation between the two firms forward with regards to emergency vehicle production. The alliance brings together Ford and Venari, the UK's largest emergency vehicle manufacturer, in plans to manufacture the all-new lightweight vehicle unveiled by the firms earlier this year. The vehicle will be built at a new facility in Dagenham from next year and is expected to create around about 100 jobs when fully operational.
Makes a lot of sense, Stuart, doesn't it, to have it in Dagenham?
Absolutely great. And such a strong alliance, those two companies. Venari have done a great job. They really are at the forefront of emergency vehicle manufacturing in the UK, and it's great to see.
Yeah, so congratulations to Oliver and the rest of his team and the Ford team as well. Great news for both companies. I'd also like to offer a big thank you to Willian Santos of ABI Electronics. He's a fantastic guest. Stuart, thank you to you as always. But the biggest thank you as always goes to you at home for listening. So we'll see you next week.
To the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and a review. You can find us on Twitter using @MTDMFG and @Jefferson_MFG.